Welcome to our discussion video for process costing. So this discussion video will integrate the concepts we have to learn on process costing in its most simple and basic form. So before we proceed with the entire process costing, we have to identify the concepts needed for us to establish the process costing systems. So the process costing system is normally compared and contrasted to the job order costing for easier identification of its features. So when we look at the job order costing as been discussed on some of the discussion videos, the job order costing is a batch production run. So when we say a batch production run, itong mga products natin ay segregated into a batch, and they are processed per batch. So when we look at this in comparison to process costing, kapag process costing, these are identical goods in a continuous production run. Kaya nga, uh, it is said that the process costing uh, involves homogeneous products in the entire production run. Pero kapag job order costing, it is homogeneous inside the batch or inside the job. Pero kapag per batch na ang tiningnan mo, yan ay heterogeneous. Kumbaga, sa isang production run, yung jobs ay heterogeneous among each other, pero dun sa loob ng job or dun sa loob ng batch ay homogeneous na yung mga items. So that is the main distinction between a process and a job order costing system. So in process costing, we look at a cost of production report. So ito yung ginagawa nating cost of production report for us to identify the number of units, the cost accounted for a particular item, and so on. Under the cost of production report, ina-identify natin yung concept ng equivalent units of production. Dahil nga itong process costing, this is a continuous process, merong mga items or products dyan na hindi mako-complete on a particular accounting period. So, kailangan natin mag-assign ng cost for that particular items of product. So, kailangan nating computin yung equivalent units of production. Magkano ang na-assign na material dyan sa item na yan, magkano ang cost ng conversion na dapat ay nakakapitalize dun sa item na yon para ma-measure natin reliably yung cost of operations. So, you will be presented with items such as the units to account for. Pag sinabi natin units to account for, this is simply the amount of units na kailangan nating i-identify kung saan napunta. Units accounted for, dito na natin na broken down yung units to account for. Units to account for, ito pa lang yung simula. Halimbawa, gusto nating i-broken down itong um, 40,000 inventory na nasa records natin, kailangan nating idaan siya sa process ng cost of production report para ma-identify natin yung units accounted for. Nasa beginning ba yan, nasa transferred out, and so on. Nasa ending na ba yan, naging spoilage ba, naging loss, normal loss ba yan, or abnormal loss, and many other factors. The equivalent units of production, this is basically the number of items na uh, kinukom this is basically the number of inventory in a particular accounting period na inassignan na natin na ginamitan na natin ng percentage of the direct material, the conversion cost. So equivalent units of production, these are units of production pero ginamitan natin siya ng process costing system approach para ma-determine natin kung ano talaga yung cost na naka-assign on a particular inventory. Cost to account for, this is basically units to account for multiplied to the the EUP, the equivalence units of the cost per EUP, I mean rather. So basically yung cost to account for ito yung units to account for na merong na in peso figure or in dollar figure. So cost per EUP, yan, this is used in many other books, and in some it is called the unit cost. So kapag tinatanong sa in the board exam, ang what is the unit cost of a particular no, number of a particular type of inventory under the process costing, ibig sabihin nito, this is the cost per EUP, the equivalent unit of production. Okay? Cost accounted for, this is essentially the units accounted for in peso or dollar figure. Okay, let's take a look. Under the process costing, there are two methods that we have to identify. And that is the FIFO or the first in, first out method and the wave or the weighted average method. Okay, we know what FIFO is, we know what weighted average is, but in process costing, paano ba natin siya tinitreat? Or what is the difference of between these two methods? The difference between them lies on the treatment of the work in process beginning. So ito po yung tandaan mo, the treatment of the work in process beginning. Under the first in first out method kasi, dahil ngayon ay first in first out, the criteria is when the working process beginning is at 20%. Ibig sabihin, 20% completed po yan. Kaya nga siya naging work in process dahil hindi siya 100%. So, kumbaga, on a particular accounting period, na-cut off itong inventory account na ito, kaya siya ay nasa 20% pa lang. So, under the first in, first out method, kailangan natin ng 80% uh, to complete this particular inventory. Kumbaga, itutuloy mo lang. Halimbawa, andito ang 20% niya, yung 80% dito, itutuloy mo lang to finally complete para maging 100% yung inventory na yon. So, that is the logic under the FIFO method. While in the wave or the weighted average method, when the working process beginning is 20%, you still need 100% to complete that particular item of inventory. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Halimbawa, etong work in process ay nandito 20% or yung item of inventory ay 20% lang na pag-abutan siya ng cut-off of the accounting period, kailangan mo siyang ibalik on the 0% status kasi nga nag-average ka under the weighted average method. Di ba? Nag-average ka. So, kailangan ibalik mo siya dito sa 0% and then i-process mo siya uli. And conceptually and basically, you are incorporating again 100% effort or conversion and material cost para makomplete yan kasi nga ikaw ay nag-a-average. Unlike sa FIFO na itutuloy mo lang, in the weighted average, kailangan mo siyang ibalik dahil nag-a-average ka. Weighted average ang method mo. So, you still need 100% to complete this. So, please remember this concept as this will guide you while you are solving items for the process costing. Okay? So I think it's best if we look at a sample problem and then we incorporate what we have conceptually learned. Okay, so this is the cost data and the production data for a particular company. So the cost data. So when we say cost data, this is represented to a peso or dollar figure. And when we say production data, this is represented in a unit figure. Kaya siya nakaganyan. Okay? So the cost data simply will provide you the work in process August 1. So ibig sabihin ito po yung beginning. Okay? Materials and conversion cost. So bakit nakahiwalay yung material and conversion cost? Nakahiwalay yung material and conversion cost because magkaiba ang treatment ng material and conversion cost when will you look at it at process costing. Yung conversion cost, this is your direct labor and your factory overhead. So there are separate ang treatment natin dyan because problems will indicate how materials are treated or how materials are added in the production at yung conversion cost naman paano natin siya itinitreat on a particular production run. Kaya siya, halos lahat ng problem na makikita mo ay nakahiwalay yan. Kasi yung materials, madali lang yan. Pag pinlace mo yan sa production on the beginning of the production run, okay na. Alam mo na nandun lahat yung production, andun lahat yung materials, raw materials in the production. While the conversion cost ay i-identify mo yan on on uh, on the process of the production run, kung saan mas mataas at what percentage level mas malaki dapat ang i-assign na labor, and so on, and overhead, and among others. So work in process cost added this month. So essentially yung work in process, ito yung galing doon sa previous accounting period na finorward on the present accounting, on the current accounting period. Yung cost added this month, these are the present costs na incur on this accounting period. So ano rin siya, nakahiwalay siya as to materials and then conversion costs. Okay? You can simply add this kung kailangan mo in your solutions, pwede mo naman i-add yung total cost added for materials and cost conversion cost at saka yung work in process ng beginning. Okay, let's take a look at the production data. The production data, so binigyan ka dyan ng work in process August 1, or this is the beginning. Sabi niya 40% complete. Okay? 40% complete siya. Okay. 3,750 units. Started in production this August. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung current na production natin. Yung work in process beginning na forward from the previous accounting period. Transferred out. What does a transferred out item means? Essentially, transferred out, ito ay ending inventory lang din ito. However, under the process costing, meron tayong imbes na yan ay diretsong ibebenta on a customer, meron pa tayong lilipatan na another production department. Kaya, in some problems, makikita mo production department A, production department B, production department C. Kaya, ang term natin ay transferred out. Ibig sabihin, sa unang production department, for example, production department A, okay na yan, 100% complete na yan. So yan ay ita-transfer out mo na papunta naman doon sa another production department, kay B, for example. So ito siya, 36,250. Next, the work in process August 31, or essentially the work in process ending. Yung ending data mo 6,500, then normal loss and then abnormal loss units. So the concept of normal loss and abnormal loss units shall be uh, basically identified as this. When we say normal loss units, 'di ba? When we say normal loss units, ito yung mga items of spoilage na based on study, evaluation, and experience ay talagang meron tayong loss or meron tayong spoilage on a production run. Dahil nga hindi perfect ang environment, hindi perfect ang mga laborer, hindi perfect ang machines, and many other factors, nag-aalat tayo ng items for normal loss. Kaya meron diyang 550 units. So, itong normal loss units ay treated as an addition to the cost, the unit cost of a particular item of inventory. So, sinasama natin yan. While the abnormal loss units are treated as losses. So, hindi yan sinasama doon sa unit cost ng ating items of inventory. Dahil yan ay hindi natin yan ine-expect at yan ay hindi regular at maaaring there are negligence on the part of the processors dyan na dapat ay i-treat natin siya na losses at hindi makaapekto dun sa unit cost natin. Okay? So yan ay naka-question mark because we will compute that on the succeeding slides. Okay, there is a note. All materials are added at the start of the process and loss units are detected at the inspection point of 70% completion. So what does this mean? Yung naka-identify na all materials are added at the start of the process. So, ibig sabihin, yung lahat ng materials ay inilalagay na natin bago pa magsimula yung process. So, 100% ang effort for that materials. So, when the problem is silent regarding the direct materials, our rule is that it is all materials are added at the start of the process, kung silent yung problem. So dito sa problem na ito, explicitly in-identify niya na lahat ng materials ay naka-add sa start of the process. Pero kung hindi naka-identify yan, ganyan pa rin ang treatment natin. Pero kung may ibang naka-identify, yun yung susundin natin. Kung pwedeng at the 20% of the process and among others. The loss units daw are detected at the inspection point of 75% completion. So, ibig sabihin lang po nito, yung 550 units daw na normal loss units dito ay na-identify nung in-inspect na yung production run at 75% completion. So, essentially, ganun lang ang ibig niyang sabihin. Kasi kailangan natin itong percentage na ito when we are computing for your equivalent units of production. Okay. So I think I have to end this discussion video, and we will be solving this problem on the second part of this discussion video. Please continue for more of process costing. Thank you.